Well, Jim, speaking about potatoes, Sammy Guevara was suspended this past week from AEW. We had just talked about the incident where he dove onto Jeff Hardy's face. Any thoughts on this, and at what point? I mean, how many times are you going to get suspended? I guess he is like their Randy Orton. I don't know what it is. What do you think about all this?
He's their Buddy Landell at this point. He's going to have to pay installments on the fine. No, he's not getting fined. He's getting suspended. They haven't said suspended without pay, so I assume that means he goes home and gets his check in the mail that nobody knows about while he's not visible to the fans so that they can actually make the case from AEW management that he's being punished. But he wasn't suspended for the face diving. He was suspended for after he dove and landed on Hardy's face. He picked him up and gave him his finish and dropped him on his head again.
The Moxie special. Trademark.
But what in the world? And the only reason that Tony did anything about this, such as he did, was because people were like, how the fuck do you let the guy jump up and land on Jeff Hardy's face and blah, blah, blah. It's a PR thing, but also, again, he wasn't suspended for being so off the mark and doing something he didn't need to be doing anyway that he caved the guy's face in. He's suspended for picking him up. Why did the referee not just call for the bell?
Remember, Matt Hardy was at ringside. Remember after the match, he got in there and him and Sammy were yelling at each other. It looked like.
But that's what I'm saying. When you see something like that, the fucking referee call for the bell. Like in a working way, when guys used to do pile drive or try to go for pile drivers in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, when we brought guys in that may not have known, that the pile driver was illegal, I would tell Brian Hildebrand, Mark Curtis, or any of the other referees, stop them for a shoot. Tell them, I got to disqualify you if you do this. So the referee does have powers and responsibilities far beyond that of mortal man. He could have said, oh shit, you just caved his face in. I'm calling it. Don't pick him up and drop him on his head. Again, if it's, a star on pay-per-view or whatever the fuck, and they call, okay, small package, roll up, or, Owen Hart found a way to allow Austin to recover long enough to just fall backwards over Steve and let Steve pin him when Steve was paralyzed. But he didn't think, okay, if I'm going to go over, well, the first thing I'll do is pick this paralyzed guy up and drop him again. Some common sense has to go in here. So
when it comes to referees in AEW, there's a lot of flashes, not a lot of Mark Curtis's.
Very good. And I don't know, Daryl Morris. He was a good man in his own right. He just didn't get too much experience. But everybody except Jeff, who was just laying there minding his own business, is at fault in this. He just laying there like this fucking stupid, goofy kid is going to fucking do a triple Lindy off the top rope and allegedly land on me in a safe manner. I'll just stay right here.
He was knocked so silly afterwards. He said, I wasn't even there.
Yeah, it was Owen. But yeah, it's a token suspension to do something in a PR fashion for an ongoing problem. And nobody said he's going to be penalized in any way otherwise. And he doesn't have to travel to the towns and work to get his check. And again, what about the referee? What about where is Tony? Is Tony not on Gorilla? I thought Tony was on Gorilla, where he can be afeared of his life on a regular basis when people yell at him.
Is Gorilla a new methamphetamine?
No, at the Gorilla position.
Oh, of course.
Couldn't he have done something like, they've just brain damaged Jeff, stop the match. Tell him, no, stop. But so what? But now, and the first thought in Sammy's mind is, oh, I've really hurt this motherfucker, so we got to go to the finish instantly where I pick him up and drop him on his head. None of this makes any sense, but you're dealing with people that are not in their right minds before they even get landed on. And
we talk about the wrestler's dream. Isn't the wrestler's dream to get suspended with pay to go home to their wife and newborn baby?
Yes. Or any kind of babies between the ages of 18 and 35. But I did 300. Let me say, hold on here. Yeah, I did 300 approximately episodes, weekly 1-hour episodes of Ohio Valley Wrestling in a training school with the future generation of WWE stars and others. And I'm trying to remember a TV match that we ever had to stop because of injury. There may have been, 5 matches per show, 300 shows. There might have been one. I'm struggling.
Linda Miles. Did she injure someone?
No. She just injured the people's feelings. That's what was the matter with her matches. Guys got hurt. We had some injuries in training. Matt Capitelli got a concussion in training. That's why he had a CAT scan and they found his brain tumor. I mean, things happen. It's sport, but I'm trying to remember. I did 200 1-hour episodes of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. That any match ever had to be stopped because of injury. We stopped all the matches that had energy in them. But this is constant now. It's because they're doing shit that doesn't apply in the job description, and they not only don't know how to do it, but when they do know how to do it, you still can't control that shit. It's too risky for no rational reward. But then to be irresponsible on top of it after you've hurt somebody to go, well, better put this one away quick. Let me give him a high impact move. What?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The decision to continue on with the finish is the problem everyone seems to have. Sammy Guevara does all these moves, these, twisting tumble salts in the air. I have to think it's really hard to master how you're going to land when you're spinning like that.
Well, the thing is, you don't just have to master how you're going to land, but you have to master where exactly you're going to land in the right place. You can protect yourself, fine, but it's harder to protect the person you're landing on.
Anyone could be a heart surgeon. Anyone could just fucking cut someone open and operate on their chest. But to actually fucking pinpoint the exact... Someone once compared it to me. They said, being a heart surgeon is like jumping across the room and landing on a dime. That's what it is. And maybe some of these moves are just not made to be done without the guarantee that someone's not going to be fucking concussed.
Hey, whether it's brain surgery or heart surgery, it's a lot easier to take son of a bitch back out than it is to put it back in. Ask Shibata.
It wasn't his heart, it was his brain.
Brain, heart, same thing.
Well, it's not the same thing. One's in the head, one's in the center of the chest.
Well, I mean the surgery of these things. It's harder to put them back in than it is to get them out to begin with.
Hey, Chris Nowinski's on TV. Analysis shows main mass shooter had traumatic brain injury. So here's Nowinski on TV in a tie.
Talking about people with injured brains.
Talking about people right now, as we are talking about this Jeff Hardy
going to
match.
Be the next mass shooter?
That's not even funny. Why would you say that?
Well,
that's not even remotely funny.
It's all going to be Sammy Guevara's fault, apparently, if he's the one that gave him the CTE.
Let's just worry about him being a mass driver. Let's not even worry about anything with firearms or anything else. But what do you do with Sammy Guevara? Talented guy. He's been there 5 years. We don't know. I mean, I guess you could argue maybe he's hit his ceiling. He's one of their pillars, but what does that really mean? But what do you do with him if someone who, in the past, there's been issues where he's either caused fights or not done anything to cause the fights not to happen, maybe directly cause the fights to happen. Also, the potential of not taking care of your opponent. And that's what this is all about. If you're stiff with someone, they're supposed to know it and they're supposed to be okay with it. It's not just, and this isn't even stiff. You're not supposed to just land on someone's face.
See, that's the whole thing is, with a lot of these guys, one of the reasons why I keep saying AEW is doing them no favors is because they're putting them in, these guys have never been on television. They've never been in a alleged major company. They've been on the indies. They've been on the niche products of the wrestling business. And for them to now come into this situation where they're on national television and they're making this amount of money and they're in front of at least A lot of people, for them at this stage of their careers, they're thinking this is normal, that this is acceptable behavior, that this is the way the wrestling business is, conducted inside and outside the ring, backstage and in front of the camera. They're not being told the truth that this whole company of AEW is an anomaly that has a lot of fucking problems, because everybody wants to be rah-rah instead of, and so the point is, Sammy is probably, hopefully not, but he's probably been convinced that he's a star, his shit doesn't stink, they're all doing the right thing, and they're just being unfair to him, or whatever the fuck, and he's learned a lot of bad habits. Whatever the bad habits are, these guys that only have an AEW experience, when they get out of the indies, they're learning them. And if they ever get a chance to go to the WWE, or if any other real major promotion ever comes along that is run professionally and has standards, these guys will be at a disadvantage because they didn't go to a developmental program to teach them how to be wrestlers. They went to a developmental program to tell them that they're fucking stars and their shit don't stink. And it's hard to unlearn that.